Hi, my name is Tom Morrison, and I'm here to describe my Hexnode experience to date. I'm the owner of a small company called Relevant Services, LLC. I consider myself a technology specialist. I've been doing this for a number of years. Do design, development, and support of information technology systems, networking, automation, and most recently, for the last several years, Internet of Things projects and devices. I'm located in Wilmington, North Carolina, which is eastern, coastal, southeastern North Carolina. My primary customer is located in Wilmington. The company's name is HVAC Star Plus, and that's significant because that's where I have implemented Hexnode. As I said, HVAC Star Plus is in Wilmington, North Carolina. They're a commercial HVAC and facility services company. They also do managed residential services. The company now has about 40 employees, and we're pretty much an Apple-based technology company. Macintosh computers on all the desks. We use iOS devices, both iPhones and iPads, throughout the organization. We've in-house developed an operations database that goes by the name of Starbase. It's based on FileMaker. And also, we've done a lot of in-house development on Internet of Things technologies, specifically our Stargazer platform, which is used for equipment and facility monitoring. A little bit about the background. iOS was chosen for our field devices based upon Starbase, since it is a FileMaker platform. FileMaker is available for Macintosh technology, Windows technology, and iOS devices, both iPhones and iPads. The initial implementation of Starbase was done on iPads, the initial design of screens and everything. But we've now moved to the iPhone platform. iPhones are in the company already for communications, but rather than have the technicians and everybody carrying around two devices, we ended up deciding to migrate to the iPhone platform. The current fleet that we're managing with Hexnode consists of 19 iPads and 32 iPhones. And that number is changing because the company is growing significantly. Our history with mobile device management systems is probably like a lot of other people's. When the fleet was small, when we only had a dozen or maybe a dozen and a half employees, all the MDM was done manually by me. As the fleet grew, though, manual became impossible. We took a look at Apple Configurator 2. It was way too challenging and required technical skills, and I'm always trying to position the company so in my absence somebody else would be able to carry on the tasks that I perform. Mirador was looked at. It was our first exposure to MDM. However, and this was a couple years ago, there were just way too many technical challenges, and their technical support at the time was slow to respond, and they lacked solutions to many of the challenges that we faced, primarily capturing the existing fleet of devices. That was a real problem. Jamf was investigated, but it was felt kind of like using a cannon to kill a flea. It's a very thorough, comprehensive package, but we felt it was just too much for what we needed. We came across Hexnode, and as I like to say, Hexnode seemed to be the mama bear solution. It wasn't too big, it wasn't the papa bear, it wasn't too small, it wasn't the baby bear, but it was just the right fit. It was our mama bear solution. The price point was palatable for a small organization, and as you can imagine, for a small growing organization, overhead costs are a significant concern. It provided the required functionality that we were looking for. We could rapidly deploy new devices. We could push standard configurations to all our devices, and we could maintain control. Devices can't be opted out by the person who's operating the device. They can't be defeated, and so Hexnode was, it really fit the bill for us. We had some challenges along the way. As I mentioned earlier, with respect to Mirador, loading the existing fleet of devices was nearly a showstopper for any MDM. There was no known easy way to get the fleet into and MDM, even Hexnode struggled with giving us a solution to this. Fortunately, we had a very good Verizon rep who understood our problems, and whereas his supervision said it's not their problem, it's our problem, this gentleman was stubborn in a good way and persisted in working with their technical people to figure out how to get our devices registered with Apple's DEP program. Once we got them into DEP, it was no longer an issue getting into Hexnode. We've also had some issues with Microsoft Exchange along the way. During the first several months, maybe the first year, it seems like every time we made any changes at all to our Hexnode implementation, we were requiring our users to re-enter their Microsoft Exchange credentials. And this became a real pain, especially when we have a lot of techs who could never remember their credentials, and then others who just simply were not comfortable with technology. Get them to use the iPhone or the iPad in Starbase was enough of a challenge, but now when on a daily or weekly basis they were being forced to re-enter their Microsoft Exchange credentials out of nowhere, it just became an extreme problem. Fortunately though, the Hexnode tech support people stepped up, and they were able to address that issue for us very satisfactorily. It took a couple runs at it to get it fixed, but they did get it fixed, fortunately, and we don't have that problem anymore. We do occasionally have a stubborn app that can't be pushed. Typically these are VPP. I think all of our apps are VPP, Apple VPP acquired apps, and occasionally we have a problem with that, but again, that's very rare. So again, I'm trying to keep this short and sweet. Summing it up, for Hexnode, it's functional. It simply works, and I think that's probably the most positive thing I can say about any solution that's out there. It's reasonably priced. We consider it a good value. Excellent technical support. And I've been in the technology business between information technology and automation for more years than I care to tell you. But what I can tell you is that Hexnode's technical support is probably the best I've ever experienced. They care, they follow up, they call, they do everything possible to make sure that we have a good experience. So one of the very positive things I can say about Hexnode is their technical support. They also take constructive feedback. It's welcomed, and my experience is it's considered. In other words, some people will listen and say thank you. The Hexnode folks, from my experience, not only listen, but they give thought to what you have suggested. I do have some things on my wish list, and this might just be because I haven't looked around enough. Proactive alerts would be handy. And when I say proactive alerts, what I'm referring to is poor battery performance. We have users out in the field who end up beginning to have problems, and because the battery life isn't what it used to be on their device. And it would be nice for us to be alerted to that ahead of time, as I said, proactively, so we could perhaps be more proactive in helping them either get a new device or replace the device and perhaps get it fixed, but that's generally not cost effective. Low level of free memory. Although we provide, HVAC Star Plus provides the iPhones and iPads to the users, they're allowed, I don't know if I'd say they're encouraged, but they're certainly allowed to install their own apps. But sometimes it gets excessive and they install way more apps than they probably should, and it results in a low memory situation, which can cause some issues. So being alerted proactively of devices with a low amount of free memory could be handy. Old versions of iOS, it'd be nice to know to get alerts if they're more than, say, one version behind. And yes, I know we can go into the dashboard and see that, but it would be nice to get an alert, at least be able to configure alert if we want. Perhaps with all these things, they should be configurable for those people that would like to have them. Another thing I'd like to have is a high impact alert. We oftentimes get issues where a phone is brought in and it just doesn't work anymore. it'd be just and high them being dropped is probably the most frequent incident or event that's happened. So being able to get an alert when there's a high impact could be a handy thing. The other thing I'd like to have is a per device subscription level. Instead of having all the devices on the same level of service, I'd like to be able to add service or functionality on a per device basis as required. And the situation is perhaps we have somebody who's struggling out there and we'd like to provide them some additional support, maybe connected to their device remotely. And we've looked at using tools, perhaps even like Zoom or whatever, to do that. But since we have an MDM and that capability exists at a higher subscription level, I'd like to be able to acquire that on a per device level for a specific period of time. Say a month, maybe it's a minimum of a month. And maybe there's a slight premium for that, but still, it'd be nice to be able to upgrade and downgrade on a per device level to help address specific users, not the entire fleet because we can't afford that, but specific users or devices that are experiencing problems. It would be great if we could upgrade and then subsequently downgrade when we no longer need that additional service capability. And as I said, this could be a value-based pricing. Maybe it's $20 for a month of Ultimate for one device. We would be willing to pay a premium, but again, only if it's on a per device and for a limited period of time. And that's about all if I have, folks. Nice speaking to you. Hopefully my experience helps you folks, and take care. Enjoy the rest of the conference.